Welcome to this morning's edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForest. Took an agonizing beat yesterday in what otherwise was a glorious day of our selections and predictions here on Bury Your Bookie as we zeroed in on the Boston Marathon. Now, this could be a veritable cinch. I'm not sure how many were in the actual field. In fact, I'm not even sure the pronunciation of the country. Is it Kenya or Kenya? I've heard it as Kenya. Recent years, Kenya. People are correcting you. I'm not sure. It's kind of like Tony Dorsett or Tony Dorsett, where the guy tells you how you should pronounce his name and you still pronounce it the other way. But regardless, we know these people can flat out fucking run. I mean, they really can. It's incredible to see the number of times they've dominated marathons all across the world, whatever city it happens to be, whether it's Barcelona, Chicago, Boston. And yesterday, the Boston Marathon, we recommended that you do kind of an Oaks Derby double. The Oaks Derby double is where you can parlay. Usually you can make this bet on a Friday, and you bet a daily double combining the winner of the Kentucky Oaks with the winner of the Kentucky Derby. That's coming up in just a couple of weeks now, less than 2 weeks away from that first Saturday in May. And you can make any number of remarkable and often losing wagers. But every now and then you get lucky, as was the case in 2009 when Rachel Alexandra was a cinch to win the Kentucky Oaks and did it in dominant fashion. Looked very impressive, and of course went on and run in the Preakness and ended up winning that race right by a nose over Mind That Bird, who won the Kentucky Derby. But Mind That Bird was like 50-1. So if you made the parlay there, cinch Rachel Alexandra to all in the Kentucky Derby, which would have cost you about $20 for a buck, you probably would have picked up a couple of hundred. So that's a nice play. It doesn't always work out that way. But we told you to box the Kenyans in exactas in both the men's and the women's races, and then bet a Kenyan woman to win the women's side and parlay that in a daily double to a Kenyan winning the men's side. And we cleaned up on everything, although an agonizing beat as we get photoed in an exacta in the men's marathon. Think about this, and we welcome Scotty M into the program. Scotty, I don't know if you and your team went to work. I have a common theory. I do it every time, just like my friend always bets Justin Rose in all the majors. In golf, I box Kenyans in exactas in all marathons of any significance.
Yeah, exactly. You can't lose.
It happened on the women's side, and you had an 8-1 shot on top. So that exacta could have been, if they offered such a bet, I don't even know that they do. I would imagine you could bet the winners. You might be able to parlay them. But then I get split in a photo. Guy opens up. The guy who won was a guy, a Kenyan named Career. And he opens up on mile 20, somewhere around Heartbreak Hill, where you used to make your move, Scotty M., when you were running in the Boston Marathon.
That's it.
And he opens up daylight on the rest of the field. There were like 3-4 guys chasing him at the time, and they kept dropping off to where it was down to 2 guys really chasing and this guy that's way out front. No, 3 guys were chasing. And so it ends up the last, after 26 miles and 285 of the 385 yards, the guy is going to coast home the winner. He had opened up enough daylight to hang on. And there's a sprint. It was like Houston McTeer and Bullet Bob Hayes sprinting the last 100 yards to the wire, and I get split by some Tanzanian in a photo. I don't know. Is that does that qualify as being one of the toughest beats of my lifetime?
I'll tell you, man. I'm listening to this story, and it is pretty sad. Yeah, I think it could rank up there with a major disaster.
A photo in an exacta in a marathon race.
In the last few feet, right?
I mean, the winner was clear, and then here are 2. You're looking at 2 also rans essentially. Although it is a distinction to finish second and third, but they had to all out, flat out sprint to the wire there, and the Tanzanian gets up by like a nose. It was incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you at least box maybe a few of the different country guys and still have a shot parlayed to the New York City Marathon coming up.
All Kenyans, although we did cash heavily because the 8-1 shot in the women's race made it a very favorable outcome overall. But that's how bizarre it's got. Now you're I'm sure betting on more conventional things these days, Scotty M. And I don't know how you fared last night in those NBA games, but it was interesting because the Pistons found themselves in the exact scenario that they were in the previous ball game, up 10 in the fourth quarter with about 6-7 minutes to go, and then it started to fall apart. They end up in a dead heat, 94 all, and at one point in the game. And this is great now because you know how the networks used to shun any kind of gambling input or infusion. And now they're showing the up to date odds as they recommend that you send it in on like the TNT betting app or ESPN. And so you only had to, when the Knicks were down, not even a large margin, like 7, you could have gotten the Knicks only laying a half a point. So you're thinking, I don't know, do you make a move there, figuring they're going to come back? They almost did, but Detroit ended up prevailing, and that turned out to be pretty fortunate for the people that were watching the show yesterday, where we recommended you take the points.
Yeah, I love both. I actually hit both of those games last night. I love the Clippers. I actually had them in the first game. I bought the line up to 3.5, so I became a hero with that 3-pointer at the buzzer to win
Nice.
one. But I came right back with them last night. I played them on the money line. And the line flopped at the very end. I don't know if anyone got his chance to see it because it was really late. Um, and the line actually went from -1 Clippers to +1.5 within the last hour before that game. Um, and I love the Clippers anyway, so I had the Clippers on the money line. I had Detroit +7. Had a great night yesterday. I ran a special promotion yesterday for all the guys that took advantage of it. Thumbs up to them. Went a perfect 3-0. Had the LA Kings. Talk about a meltdown. LA Kings are 4-0 in the NHL, up 5-3 with 4 minutes left. And Edmonton comes back and ties it up 5-5. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my 3-0 night. And
Yeah.
then the Kings score in the final seconds to win it 6-5 before that game went into over. So yeah, we had a great day yesterday. One of those knock on wood, days for us. So I love the NBA playoffs. I got to be honest with you. I told you I love the NHL playoffs, and the NHL players put out an unbelievable product yesterday. Washington, Montreal go to overtime. Dallas and Colorado go to overtime. That LA Kings game could have went to overtime if the Kings don't score in the final seconds to end it. Just a good overall day.
Yeah.
Winnipeg wins by 1 goal. I told you the NHL playoffs to me have the more of a spark. And if you're in, most guys maybe are not into it as much as they are the NBA, just from the notoriety and the publicity of the NBA playoffs. But the NHL playoffs, man, there's some great series out there, and it's very exciting this time of the year because they raise that level. The intensity level goes up multiple times during the playoffs.
Well, and it's already at a high bar, even in the regular season in the NHL. That's overlooked by a lot of people. But I mean, they're not goofing off. There are no soft outings. You rarely see it in the National Hockey League.
Yeah,
No, it was great. I mean, the last 3 or 4 minutes of a one-goal game, of which all of those games came down to the wire,
yeah,
one way or another. And especially, I mean, look. Obviously, the home team is very much in a position to win if they're up 1 goal or down a goal, and the crowd is so insane during that period of time. And then every little twist and turn has amplified drama.
yeah,
Every turnover of the puck. I mean, sometimes it seems like a very abstract game, and you're saying, "What the hell is going on out there?" You feel like Vince Lombardi watching the Packers at time. And yet, once I mean, with a marginal understanding of what the heck is happening, I would say that you're spot on there, Scotty M. It sounds like cliche for some sports guy to say, "Well, the NHL playoffs, nothing like it," but there really is nothing like it. And then
yeah,
you have all kinds of things being decided. Empty netters making a difference on both the side when it's a 1.5 goal differential
yeah,
and over unders as well. Ovechkin never had scored in overtime before in
yeah.
a postseason game, and so he does that for the first time in what's been a phenomenal season of accomplishment. Great stuff all the way around. All right, let's get into it. Let's try to make some money with these games tonight. You have a lot of stuff happening on both the NBA and the NHL front. Still have Major League Baseball going as well. And I don't know how involved you get in betting on the draft, but yeah, we'll just get into that a little bit too. But what are you looking at tonight? As you have NBA, what 3 series going to be played tonight?
Yeah, you
Get
got
into you got Memphis, OKC, and then Minnesota and the Lakers, which I think is kind of must win there for the LA Lakers. No,
Yeah, the Lakers were a no-show in Game One. They just fell apart. As good as Luka played. I mean, he put in 37 in the first game, but they just got blown out. That game was a one-sided, absolute runaway freight train for Minnesota. That's a good way to get it. Get a jump on the series. Lakers got to win. Must game for Lakers tonight, or their backs are against the wall. I think it's going to be tough to beat them 4 out of 5. The way Minnesota's been playing, they've been a pretty consistent team, especially the second half of the season. I made a note saying watch them in the second half after the All-Star break, and so far they're making me look pretty good. But yeah, this is a must game for the Lakers. I think they're going to put it together tonight. I got a funny feeling that they're coming out guns blazing, and they got to work together. Obviously LeBron and Luka, and the supporting cast with Reeves and all their other players they have. I think it's a type of game that I could see the Lakers. I wouldn't leave it at 5.5. I think that number is just a little too juicy. I'd bring that game down to -4, and I would definitely take the Lakers in that spot tonight. I think the Lakers got a big bounce back on their mind, and if they get on, like I said, 0-2, you can write probably that series off unless they go in Minnesota and win 2 straight games in a row to tie it up, which is going to be a tough feat for them to do after dropping 2 at home. So I see the Lakers coming back in this game pretty strong tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game between 9 and 13 points. So I'm going to take the Lakers, bring it down to 4, just to be a safety measure. And I put that out as a pretty solid play. That's the only thing I'm really looking at. The Bucks and Pacers series. Pacers find ways to beat the Bucks. They won pretty handily the first game. The Bucks still have the potential of obviously doing extremely well and bouncing back. A lot of these series could be bounce back series where they're 1-1, except probably for Memphis and OKC. OKC just looks, as I said, the West looks like it's going through OKC. The East, to me, it's a 2-horse race. It's a match race between Cleveland and Boston. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone's upsetting those teams to get to the Eastern final, and whoever obviously wins that finals going to the NBA finals. So 2-horse race in the East, maybe a couple of horses in the West, but looks like OKC put a stamp of approval, winning by 51 their first game. So I'm not going to touch the other 2 series tonight. I think the Lakers is the play in the NBA for this evening.
All right. NHL, any thoughts? You have 4 games on a slate, including the opener from Tampa between the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champs, and the
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning, always a threat under John Cooper.
Yeah, this is going to be a dynamite series, Defo. It's going to be a very, very physical, hard-fought series. Very interesting series. I think the Panthers need to have a big-time performance tonight. If they come out sluggish and they get blown out by Tampa, and Tampa just takes over that series and goes up 2-0, I think the Panthers got big issues to getting out of that series. So I think this is going to be a big emotional game for the Panthers. I mean, a couple of their leaders. Aaron Ekblad is out still with that suspension, I believe. Also, Keith, Kachuk is out. Matthew Kachuk obviously is out still with the groin injury. So, they still got the talented goalie and Bob, and they got a lot of supporting players. But this Tampa Bay team is no joke, man. They've been hot as a pistol for the past 10 weeks or 3 months. They're finding ways to win. They got a great goalie, obviously, as well, with Vasilevsky. So I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I'm going to lean just because of the number on this game. I thought if Tampa was right in this game, they'd be $1.25. They made them about $1.10, $1.15. I'm taking the Panthers in a surprise in this first game. I think the Panthers, the only way they're going to have a shot of not getting swept in Tampa 0-2 is winning this first game. If they lose this game, I could see them losing the next game. So I think this game is their target game. So I'm going to take the Florida Panthers at -103. Right now, again, this line could move slightly up or down between now and game time. But I'm going to take the Panthers as a strong lean play. I think they get the surprise in this one and get the job done. So I got the Lakers in the NBA. I got the Panthers in the NHL. The other 2 games I'm not getting near with a 10-foot pole. Carolina, 250 favorite. Vegas, a 240 favorite against Minnesota. I think Vegas is going to, be one of those teams going to be tough to beat, obviously, to the end as well. They look like they're having a great season. I'll tell you, the NHL playoffs, Defo, team for team, these stronger teams in the NHL, you got about 6, 7, 8 teams that got a shot to win the cup this year, maybe even more. It's a
Yeah.
pretty wide open NHL playoffs. That's what makes it more exciting to me. I think the East and the NBA playoffs is a runaway freight train for those Cleveland and Boston. It doesn't look like there's anything between them. And the West, I mean, OKC, unless somebody steps up, is going to be a runaway in the to get to the finals in the West. So to me, it's not as exciting. I see more parity in the NHL. That makes it a lot more exciting that any of these teams could beat any of these teams. Obviously, maybe not these big underdogs, but once they get past this, there's going to be a lot of teams that have a shot to win the cup.
Definitely, and you're getting some pretty good prices, even with the favorites, which I'm not enamored with the favorites. I think it is tough to repeat. Florida Panthers were, I believe, first or second choice at about 6-1, and the Dallas Stars, who managed to even up their series.
Yeah, great game.
Yeah, and they went into overtime and managed to even up their series with Colorado, a real threat. But you're spot on again, Scotty M. Just wide open. Whereas the NBA has always been milk of magnesia, chalk league. Once in a while, you'll get a surprise there in the finals. You rarely get a surprise champion, a complete stunner. And it might have been the case if the Mavericks had won last year with Luka Doncic, but they didn't come close once they got to the final. Boston handled them with relative ease. And yeah, it looks like I mean, I don't know anybody that's sitting here
I don't see anyone that
making a
touches
big case for other teams. Yeah, the Clippers,
Yeah.
I guess, are getting some steam now from handicappers, but in general, the East appears almost clear cut to boil down to those two teams. So watch, neither of them will make it to the conference final. That'll be. All right, Scotty M. How do people find your winning information? Because you have been winning, which is great. I love it that you're fired up for the postseason here.
Yeah, well, I'm jacked up. I'll tell you, I love this time of the year. You got baseball kicking in now, 25 games under the season. You got the NBA playoffs. You got the NHL playoffs. I mean, it really is a good time of the year. A lot of people say, whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's a good time of the year, especially for someone like me that really puts the time and puts the effort into it. And I just like the intensity of the second season where they raise the bar up and you get to see really the cream of the crop rise during the playoff time of the year. You can find me on Instagram. It's real simple. We go live every day now on Instagram too. We give out some extra plays on there. So it's a good thing to check out. I go on my boy TK with TK Wins. We go live. We have a special guest on it, Jim Feist, your man. Come
Oh
on.
yeah,
Hey, Jim.
how's he doing?
He's doing good, man. 81 years old. He's still loving giving out the games, still betting the games. But he's great to talk to because he's very knowledgeable
Yeah,
and obviously, gives his intense breakdowns of the games, which makes it excellent. And he's a good guest to have on. So
yeah.
we had him on. We had your boy Troy West come on one
Oh,
day.
yeah? Oh, great.
So we're just moving and grooving, trying to keep those live shows. Check it out on my Instagram channel. It's SM Sports Picks, Picks. Each day we go on at 5:30 and we notify you guys. Check out my stories. I tell you when we're coming on that day. We're going on today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Going to give out some additional plays there and stuff like that. And we give out free stuff all the time.
All right, sounds great, Scotty M. Great job as always. Enjoy the games tonight, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks so much for being with us once again on this Tuesday edition of Bury Your Bookie.
Thank you, Defo. Have a great day, sir.
All right, the great Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen. So very enthusiastic. Lakers, Minnesota. Wow, is that a complete reversal of form that we're due for tonight? Scotty M says buy the points down a little bit. Seems like a very generous allotment, does it not, for a team that just cremated the Los Angeles Lakers? The real temptation there would have to be to go ahead and take the points with the Wolves, wouldn't it? Much more so. There's much more romance and sort of bombast in that than there would be saying, okay, lay a bunch of points with LA. It was hard to envision them making a complete reversal of form. We saw the Detroit Knicks game, what was a very close facsimile, game one to game two, except Detroit figured out a way not to fold, which they very nearly did. Experience is always talked about. It's an intangible, but nonetheless, you do see it manifest itself when NBA playoff teams go after each other. The young upstart team often finds itself caving at the moment of truth. All right. Good luck with all your wagers tonight. Thanks to Scotty M for joining us. I'm Jeff DeForest. Have a great time. We'll see you tomorrow on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.